After counting another person's faults, multiply by 2 and you will have a fair estimate of your own. If you must publish someone's faults, publish your own. Most of us can live peacefully with our own faults, but the faults of others get on our nerves. The friend who is constantly trying to correct your faults is not a friend, he's a critic. The slanderer differs from the assassin only in that he murders the reputation instead the body. Fear of criticism is the kiss of death in the courtship of achievement. One of the easiest habits for any human being to acquire is the habit of criticizing others. Spiros Zodiates. You have to be little to belittle. Sometimes a reprimand is only a grouch in disguise. The critic is a person who has you write it, sing it, play it, paint it, or carve it as he would if he could. Search thy own heart. What paineth thee in others in thyself may be. The person who is never criticized is not breathing. To all my faults my eyes are blind. Mine are the sins I cannot find. But your mistakes I see aplenty. For them my eyes are 20/20. Don't mind the fellow who belittles you. He's only trying to cut you down to his size. Stones and sticks are thrown only at fruit-bearing trees. To avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. When I start to find fault with all that I see, it is time to start looking for what's wrong with me. We should cover the faults of our fellow workers with a cloak of charity, because we may need a circus tent to cover our own. If you must throw cold water on everything, then get a job as a fireman. One of the easiest things to find is fault. The person who is always finding fault seldom finds anything else. If fault-finding were electrified, some people would be a powerhouse. The way some people find fault, you'd think there was a reward. We do not get rid of our faults by calling attention to the faults of others. It's a pity that some folks never learn that uncovering the other fellow's faults will never cover up their own. One of the surest marks of good character is a man's ability to accept personal criticism without feeling malice toward the one who gives it. You can always tell a failure by the way he criticizes success. Throwing mud at another man only soils your own hands. You'll never move up if you're continually running somebody down. Small minds are the first to criticize large ideas. It takes a big man to sympathize, a little man can criticize, and usually does. Many people have the mistaken idea that they can make themselves great by showing how small someone else is. The critical tongue gets its orders from an untrained eye, an unthoughtful mind, and an ungrateful heart. There's only one way to handle the ignorant or malicious critic. Ignore him. The critic who begins with himself will be too busy to take on outside contracts. I will speak ill of no man, not even in a matter of truth, but rather excuse the fault I hear, and, upon proper occasions, speak all the good I know of everybody. Benjamin Franklin. If your head sticks up above the crowd, expect more criticism than bouquets. One of the hardest things to take is one of the easiest things to give criticism. If you are afraid of criticism, you'll die doing nothing. It is better to be criticized than to be ignored. If we are tempted to be worried about unjust criticism, here is a vital rule. Remember that unjust criticism is often a disguised compliment. Remember that no one ever kicks a dead dog. A critical spirit comes from self-righteousness. If you know you're a mess yourself, you don't go around criticizing other people for their mistakes. But if you think you're so righteous, that's when you start picking on other people. Criticism isn't the problem, it's just a symptom. A lack of love is the problem. The difference between our friends and our enemies is this. Our friends love us in spite of our faults, and our enemies hate us in spite of our virtues.